subscribe and tap the bell. Twice a day, we bring you the real words of the Stoics, not paraphrased, not softened. A former slave named Epictetus once wrote a short handbook of philosophy. At the center of it sits one distinction that the rest of the book keeps returning to from different angles: some things are within your power, and everything else isn't. It sounds almost too simple to be useful. This video is about what happens when you actually try to live by it, using the concrete, everyday examples Epictetus himself used to teach it. Not the abstract version. The practical one, translated here by Elizabeth Carter in 1759. Start with the ship. Epictetus compares a life to a voyage. Your vessel is anchored near shore, and you step off to fetch water. On the way, you notice a shell, or an onion growing wild, and you pick it up out of idle interest. Nothing wrong with that, as long as your attention stays bent toward the ship, ready the instant the captain calls. Thus likewise in life, if, instead of an onion or a shellfish, such a thing as a wife or a child be granted you, there is no objection, but if the captain calls, run to the ship, leave all these things, regard none of them. He isn't telling you not to love your family, or enjoy what life hands you along the way. He's telling you to hold it the way you'd hold a shell you picked up walking to the water, appreciated, not gripped so tightly that you can't let go the moment you're called. Then there's the bathhouse, which is Epictetus at his most practical. Roman public baths were crowded, loud, and rude, people splashing water on you, shoving, some even stealing clothes from the changing area. Before going, he says, picture exactly this happening. I will now go bathe, and preserve my own mind in a state conformable to nature. And if someone does shove you, or something does get stolen, you already have the answer ready. It was not only to bathe that I desired, but to preserve my mind in a state conformable to nature, and I shall not preserve it so, if I am out of humor at things that happen. The bath isn't in your power. Who else shows up, how they behave, whether your towel gets taken. Your temper walking out of the building is entirely in your power. It's the only part of the trip that was ever actually yours to control. He's just as blunt about borrowed pride. If a horse should be elated, and say, I am handsome, it would be supportable. But when you are elated, and say, I have a handsome horse, know that you are elated on what is, in fact, only the good of the horse. Swap the horse for anything: a car, a job title, a partner's achievements, a family name. None of it is a property of your own choice, so none of it is legitimate grounds for pride. The only pride Epictetus is willing to let you keep is pride in how you actually used your own faculties. The same test applies to what you chase and what you flee from, not just what you already hold. Remember that desire promises the attainment of that of which you are desirous, and aversion promises the avoiding of that to which you are averse, that he who fails of the object of his desire is disappointed, and he who incurs the object of his aversion, wretched. Point your desire at something outside your own choice: a promotion, someone's affection, a diagnosis coming back clean, and you've handed your peace of mind to a coin flip you don't control. Point your aversion at sickness, poverty, or death, and you've guaranteed yourself wretchedness eventually, since none of those are things you get a permanent veto over. Epictetus's answer isn't to stop wanting anything. It's to aim desire and aversion at the one territory where a win is actually guaranteed by effort alone, the use you make of your own choices. This all collapses into one sentence, maybe the single most quoted line from the entire handbook: require not things to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Read it twice. It's not telling you to stop wanting things, or stop trying to change what you can change. It's pointing out that a huge amount of daily unhappiness comes from a very specific, very fixable error: wanting reality to already be different than it currently is, instead of wanting your own effort inside that reality to be sound. Loss gets the same treatment, and this is the passage people tend to resist hardest. Never say of anything, I have lost it, but I have restored it. Is your child dead? It is restored. Is your wife dead? She is restored. Is your estate taken away? Well, and is not that likewise restored? This isn't coldness. Epictetus isn't telling you not to grieve. He's pointing out a fact about the nature of anything you've ever been given, a person, a possession, a season of your life. None of it was ever truly owned outright. While he gives you to possess it, take care of it, but as of something not your own, as passengers do of an inn. A guest at an inn takes real care of the room. He just doesn't confuse the room for something that was his to keep. None of this means passivity in the face of hardship. Epictetus gives you the actual tools for meeting it. If you see a handsome person, you will find continence a power against this. If pain be presented to you, you will find fortitude. If ill language, you will find patience. Every external difficulty, in his account, arrives paired with an internal capacity built to meet it. The difficulty isn't in your power, but the matching capacity always is, if you bother to use it. And even sickness, which feels like the most total kind of powerlessness there is, gets the same precise treatment. Sickness is an impediment to the body, but not to the faculty of choice, unless it self-pleases. Lameness is an impediment to the leg, but not to the faculty of choice. A broken leg stops you from running. It doesn't, on its own, stop you from choosing how you respond to being unable to run. That particular door stays open regardless of what happens to the leg. He ties the whole idea to something sharper than a mood or a mindset, actual freedom, as opposed to actual slavery. Whoever then would be free, let him wish nothing, let him decline nothing, which depends on others, else he must necessarily be a slave. That's a hard line, not a soft suggestion. Every wish you place on something outside your own choice, someone else's opinion, a stranger's behavior, an outcome the world hasn't decided yet, is a small transfer of ownership over your own peace, handed voluntarily to whoever or whatever controls that outcome. Epictetus spent years of his life legally unfree. He knew exactly what the word cost. He wasn't using it loosely. The dichotomy of control isn't a productivity trick for feeling calmer. It's closer to an audit of a ship, a bathhouse, a horse, a room at an inn, run over and over on the small, ordinary moments of a life, until the habit of sorting what's yours from what isn't becomes as automatic as the shove that never used to bother you. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We bring you Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and the Stoics they trained, straight from the source, twice a day.